56 firefighters have actually died in the line of duty nationwide so far this year, according to the USFA. That means 8 to 9 firefighters are killed in the line of duty every single month nationwide. Yet at the same time, many citizens were rescued and countless amounts of property was saved as a result of the actions of these firefighters. Yet the profession remains dangerous and difficult. And that's why we pay respect yearly to those whose names are listed on this wall and etched on this monument in front of you, in the tradition of the fire service that honors their sacrifice, their bravery, and their dedication as firefighters to serve the public. To start off our ceremony, I'd like to ask you all to please stand if you are able as we say the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. If you would please remain standing if you can. We have the presentation now as the United Professional Firefighters Local 1230 Honor Guard will post the colors.
All uniformed personnel, attend, hut! Freeze and up! Guard, all uniformed personnel, order, on! Color guard, ready, fight! Forward, on!
Thank you. You may be seated. At this time, I would like to introduce Chaplain Robert Ryan, who will lead us in the invocation.
10 years ago, I was given the great privilege and honor to stand before this department, before your families, our friends, and our community, as we came together to mourn and to thank God for the gift of the lives of Matt and Scott, to share the promise and the hope of Scripture, and hopefully to have spoken words of comfort and consolation and assurance. This morning, as we mark the 10th anniversary of their deaths, and as we commemorate the loss of each firefighter who paid the ultimate sacrifice in the service of our department and of our city, we gather to reflect, to meditate, and to pray, honoring the lives and the legacy and the memory of each one. I would invite you to join me in closing your eyes. Let us bow our heads as our hearts are united in prayer. Let us pray. Gracious and loving Father, you have promised us that where two or more are gathered together in your name, you will be in our midst. And so even now we know, O God, that you are here. We thank you for the gift of this glorious morning, for every breath that we take, for the sacredness of this hour, and for the privilege of coming together to honor the memory of every firefighter who has given his life in the line of duty. We mourn the loss of these true heroes while protecting our lives, our homes, and our communities. But most important of all, we thank you for the gift of their lives and all that they have been as sons, husbands, fathers, and brothers in fire service. Your beloved Son and our brother Jesus reminds us there is no greater love than this, that you lay down your life for your friends. These firefighters who answered the call to this difficult and dangerous task have shown love and commitment of the highest order for us, and for this we are eternally grateful. We are fully aware that we can never repay the sacrifice of these courageous firefighters. We can never do anything to deserve their ultimate gift of service given to us at such great personal cost, and given at such a great cost to their families and loved ones. How do we measure the value of a life? It's by how much was given away. And they gave their all for us. It is in such giving that we are made great, and it was in doing this, in giving their all, pouring out their lives in the service of others, that their lives became complete. You were there for each one, opening your arms, taking each one by the hand, embracing them with your eternal life and love, and leading them home to be with you forever. And so it is within the quietness of each of our hearts this morning that we can hear you whisper, "Well done, good and faithful servants. Enter into the joy of your master." Help us to go forward today, having received from these moments of prayer and meditation a small measure of personal aspiration to be like them in our daily lives. Help us to be inspired and changed by their self-sacrifice, their strength, their courage, and their sense of duty. May we put our whole heart into the tasks which we do that serve the greater good of our community. And may each small act of service that we do be a living memorial to Matt, to Scott, and to all of our fallen firefighters. We ask this in the name of Him who is our life, our hope, and our resurrection. Amen.
Thank you for that beautiful invitation. Well, many people in our audience today are family members of those whose names we are honoring. thank you for your presence here today. Our thoughts and our prayers are with you as well as the families of all the firefighters who we're honoring. We're honored particularly by your presence here today. Firefighters also have been supported in our community by other elected, appointed officials and dignitaries, as well as many allied agencies. I'd like to recognize those in the audience today. Alan Biaggi, the retired fire chief from Rodeo Hercules Fire Protection District. Diane Burgess, Supervisor District 3 from Contra, Costa County. Brian Craig, interim fire chief from Rodeo Hercules Fire Protection District. Mark Goodwin, Chief of Staff from Supervisor Diane Burgess. Steve Haggerty from the Knights of Columbus. Brian Helmick, the interim fire chief from East Contra Costa Fire Protection District. David Livingston, the sheriff from Contra Costa County. Karen Mishop, Supervisor District 4 from Contra Costa County. Annie O, Chief of Staff for Supervisor Karen Mishop. Jim Parrott, retired fire chief for Pinole Fire Department. Michael Pagoni, the battalion chief from El Cerrito Fire Department. Emmett Usher, the deputy fire chief from Richmond Fire Department. Tom Chapman, the advisory fire commissioner from Contra Costa County Fire Protection District. Dominique Yancey, the president of the 100 Club of Contra Costa County. Rich Grace, the retired assistant fire chief from Contra Costa County Fire Protection District. Jennifer Quilic, the field representative from Candace Anderson's supervisor for Contra Costa County. And Leah Castleberry, field representative for Diane Burgess, Supervisor Diane Burgess for Contra Costa County. As you also notice, we have Representative rigs and vehicles from Rodeo Hercules, Richmond Fire, El Cerrito Fire, and American Medical Response. Thank you again for your support at this occasion. Well, this time, I'd like to introduce to you the Chief of Contra Costa County Fire Protection District, Jeff Klarman, who will share some thoughts with us. Chief?
Good morning. You look out here and it's overwhelming. I just want to say thank you for everyone for being here to help us pay our respects and give honor today to firefighters Matt Burton and Scott Desmond and all of those who have fallen before us. Every year I struggle what I'm going to say here, but this year I had some help. And I'll start off by saying the definition of a hero is a person who is admired for their courage and noble qualities. Matt Burton and Scott Desmond, as well as all the names you see on the wall here, are heroes in every sense of the word. 10 years ago today, Matt and Scott paid the ultimate sacrifice while trying to rescue an elderly couple from their burning home. Like all firefighters, they knew they may someday have to lay down their lives for another. But on this early morning 10 years ago, they did just that. They were well trained and they knew the risks. This was no accident. They knew what they were getting into, but they also knew their only chance of survival for those elderly residents was them. They didn't hesitate. They entered the burning structure to find the trapped victims. Unfortunately, Matt and Scott perished during their rescue attempt, and while they are gone from us, they will forever be our heroes, and they will never be forgotten. Over the last couple of weeks, I had the privilege of accompanying Local 1230 President Vince Wells meeting with both Carolyn Desmond and Chantel Burton. It was my first opportunity to meet these family members of Matt and Scott, and it gave me a unique opportunity to listen to their stories and get a glimpse of the personal impacts these families have experienced since that fateful morning. While we sat and talked to both families, it became evident how important it was to them to know that Matt and Scott wouldn't be forgotten. I was delighted to be able to share with them what a big part of our organization Matt and Scott remain to be. I explained that in every fire station there is something that honors our fallen brothers. In one station we have a dedicated memorial, and in another station we simply have some etchings of their names from the firefighters' memorial wall. Every one of our apparatus is adorned with our nation's flag embossed with their names, and many personal vehicles still display the words Matt and Scott, never forgotten. Some things are more subtle, like baseball hats with Matt and Scott's initials embroidered on the back. Others more obvious, like the memorial wall and the rose garden behind me. The fact is, if you are in a fire district facility, there's something within view that pays respect to Matt and Scott. As I spoke with Carolyn Desmond, she talked about how so many people had retired in the last 10 years. She didn't know if anyone would know her if she were to stop by a station. Vince assured her that while they may not recognize her, if she were to mention her name, she would get the royal treatment. Because even though many have retired, our training staff makes sure that all of our new recruit firefighters are well educated about the Michelle Drive incident, and they become very familiar with Matt and Scott. Immediately after the fire 10 years ago, a very detailed study was done to determine what could be done differently in the future to keep our firefighters as safe as possible and hopefully avoid future tragedies. It was a very informative document and was reviewed by fire departments all across the nation. We wanted to share the lesson we learned in hopes other agencies could learn and benefit from our loss. Over the past several months, our safety chief, Pete Marshall, and Captain Chris Block executed a comprehensive review of that report and developed an accompanying document titled Michelle Drive 10 Years Later. This document outlines which recommendations from the original report have been accomplished and which ones still need work. This new document will guide our training and operations divisions with prioritizing what remains to be done to assure our personnel are as safe as possible. The reason President Wells and I met with the families is yet another example of how much Matt and Scott's legacy lives on here at Con Fire. You see, several months ago, an idea emerged amongst our fire commissioners and our personnel. We are in the process of rebuilding Fire Station 70 in San Pablo, and several people had the idea to name the station after Matt and Scott. The idea quickly gained momentum, and last month we received unanimous support from our board of directors to move forward with that idea. And I am pleased to say that after we met with the families, we have their support as well. So I am hoping in late 2018, we hope you will all be able to join us for the grand opening of the Burton Desmond Memorial Fire Station in San Pablo. In closing today, I want to again give my thanks to all who joined to honor our fallen heroes. I want to especially thank our firefighters for all you do to keep Matt and Scott in the forefront and for upholding our vision of being a premier fire agency who honors our past. And finally, I want to thank the families of Matt and Scott. We are forever, forever indebted to you for your sacrifices and are here for you with whatever you may need. I assure you that Matt and Scott will live on forever in our hearts and souls, will always be a big part of Con Fire, and certainly will never be forgotten. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief Carmen. Next, I would like to introduce Captain Vince Wells, who is the president of the International Association of Firefighters Local 1230. Captain Wells.
Good morning, and welcome to the families that are here, our friends and fellow firefighters. 10 years has passed since this tragic event on Michelle Drive that took the lives of our brothers, Fire Captain Matt Burton and Fire Engineer Scott Desmond. As we look back to that early morning on July 21st, 2007, we all reflect on that day in our own way. I will share with you my thoughts as I look back to then and where we are now. We spent the first few days shocked and struggling to grasp the reality of what had just happened. We embraced their families and each other as we attempted to regain our composure. We then shifted into an all-out effort to bury our fallen comrades and to plan a fitting memorial. Both the fire district and the members of Local 1230 worked together to get our brothers to their final resting place and plan their memorial. All those events were a fine tribute to them. The focus then shifted to a low level of blame, and questions were raised about why and how it happened. I would say that I'm proud of how this membership handled this phase and maintained our unity. We all waited anxiously for the Michelle Drive report in order to get the official details of what took place that night and to learn how we could prevent it from ever happening again. In the meantime, the memorial was built, and efforts to increase the staffing at Station 7 continued with some progress. Matt and Scott's names were placed on the IAFF Fallen Firefighters Memorial Wall in Sacramento. Over the last 10 years, we have implemented some of the recommendations that came out of the Michelle Drive report. We have continued to make improvements in training modules. We added the safety officer positions, and we recently added additional units to structure fire responses. There were improvements made to the communication system in San Pablo that we will continue to work on today. The various agencies in West County are now on the same schedule and have developed a West County training calendar in which all agencies are training together to improve scene operations. With the help of the city of San Pablo, we are now have 5 personnel out of Station 70, an engine company and a squad. The Station 70 is being rebuilt, as the chief mentioned. Despite the progress made and how we appeared to bounce back over the past 10 years, it still hurts. I still have memories of Matt and Scott and the sequence of events upon my notification of what happened, and it continues to play back in my mind from time to time. Where I was, and when I knocked on Carolyn's door and joined the team to notify her of the tragedy. I remember seeing the faces of all the crews at Station 73 in Pinole as they tried to grasp what happened that evening. This department has learned much from this event, and we continue to work on preventing such a tragedy from happening again. As firefighters, despite our pain, we still must go on. The calls keep coming in. We must always be prepared for the next one. We continue to have new people coming on board that need to be trained, and without much time to learn, because we never know what we may face on any given day. We watch those who have put in their time move on to retirement, and we all hope to be there soon. This is the nature of the business of this proud profession that we have chosen. The only cure for the pain we all feel today is prevention. Nothing else can make it go away. This morning we all remember Scott and Matt and all the other names on the wall. And as we continue to keep our promise to them, which is to watch out for their families, to learn from their mistakes, and to keep their memories alive, and to get home safe. So listen up, Matt and Scott, you are missed. We want you to know that Carolyn, and Tyler, and Chantel, and Megan, and Josh are well taken care of, and we have not left their side. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Wells. Next, I would like to introduce to you Fire Captain Frank Lima, representing the California Professional Firefighters. Captain Lima.
Thank you. It's an honor to be here today. I come from the Los Angeles City Fire Department as an active ladder truck captain, but I'm here today on behalf of the International Association of Firefighters as the Vice District serving the 10th District, which serves California, Hawaii, Arizona, New Mexico, and the territory of Guam. First, I want to thank Chief Carmen and President Wells. Chief Carmen, you won a great fire department, one of the premier fire departments in the state of California. You got to be real proud of what you have here. And President Wells, I continue to watch everything you do, from fighting for retirement security to your members' contracts, safe working conditions, but most importantly, our most important mission in the labor movement, and that's to take care of the families and the spouses and the widows, and I've seen you done an exemplary job. Thank you. I offer the sincere and heartfelt condolences from the entire International Association of Firefighters and the over 310,000 members in North America that represent our union. Everyone who hears the calling, everyone that's drawn to this great job and very unique profession of ours, knows what this career demands. Physical demands, the hard mental demands on the incidents that we go on, injuries and illnesses. Every firefighter who has taken the oath to serve in our great profession comes into it knowing the risks associated with that job. Death could come at any time, whether you have 1 year on the job or 27 years on the job, and when it happens, we are never prepared. The families are never prepared. Fire department's never prepared, and the union's never prepared, and it is always heartbreaking. So we gather here again at this sacred site because no family member of a fallen firefighter should ever have to go through this alone when it happens, and every year when we have a memorial. I am honored to have come to speak here before you, and I want to thank again Vince, Chief Carmen, and God bless every firefighter on the front lines out there, and may perpetual light always shine upon every brother on this wall. Thank you.
Thank you, Captain Lehman. Next, I would like to introduce to you Scott Desmond's younger brother, Chris Desmond. He's like a share a few words with us. Chris?
Good morning, everybody. You know, I was thinking this morning about how I could sit there and I could write out everything that I wanted to say last night and very early this morning when I woke up and found out that I just couldn't fall back to sleep. And I realized that no matter what I write, it's going to get jumbled. It's not going to come out exactly the way I want it to. And I didn't even take into consideration the emotion involved. Just seeing Carolyn and Tyler this morning is enough to kind of make me realize that I'm really not ready. I wasn't as ready for this day as I was planning. But I'm going to fight my way through and share just a few things. I won't go on long. This is kind of a bittersweet week for my wife, my daughter, and I, because we're up in Northern California on vacation this week, and we're spending some time up in Squaw Valley. And during this week, we've been spending time celebrating my wife's cousin and her husband's 14-year anniversary. And then tomorrow we're going to celebrate my wife's aunt and uncle who invited us to Squaw Valley as they're going to celebrate 55 years of marriage. And it's really an amazing thing, and it's a wonderful thing. But the bitterness of this week, of course, is reliving the tragedy of 10 years ago and everything that we've all felt. We all felt at that time, and that we're going to feel for a long time hereafter. My wife and I sat in the hotel last night, and I sat down to write out what I wanted to say. And a little bit of wine, a little bit of pizza, and I wrote down some things, and I thought, yeah, this is kind of connect the dots. This is pretty much what you would expect. And then when I woke up this morning and I realized a lot of what I wrote down, it is what it is, but it's not really as from the heart as I wanted it to be, and I really didn't want to have to plan out too specifically what I wanted to say. Doesn't mean I don't have a list here in front of me, but I also realized this morning that some of the opening comments that I wanted to make started to sound like opening night at the Chuckle Hut, and I told myself, back off. This is not a comedy routine. This is important. This is significant. I miss Scott all the time, and I'd love nothing better to stand up here and to spout on about the things about him that I miss. The good times that we had, the good times that I wanted us to have. Most especially the times that he would sit down with his guitar and he would tell me, hey, listen, I got something I want to play for you. I've got this Rush medley that I worked up. And he'd start playing it. And he'd get about a minute and a half in and he'd stop and I'd look at him and I'd go, that's great, why'd you stop? And he'd look at me and he'd go, that's all I got. And I'm looking at him, I'm going, you got a minute and a half of material, you've been playing guitar how many years and this is what you got? And he's like, dude, come on, give me a break. I'm like, all right, Scott, you're all good here. Scott was an amazing man. Everything that I've heard of Matt indicates the same. They were firefighters, they got up, they went to work, they did a noble job, they were brave, they were confident, compassionate. It amazes me that they could go out and do, like a lot of men and women here get up and go out and do every day on the job, knowing that day 1, day 52, day 314, you may not come back. You may, as has been noted, make the ultimate sacrifice. And it's difficult. I don't have that stuff. I could never do it. And I admire it, and I'm amazed by it. And I respect it a tremendous amount. But also, as was noted, you don't see it coming. You can't prepare yourself. I never thought that the day would come that came 10 years ago. But it did. We've gotten over it to the degree that you can, but you still revisit the pain and you still miss those individuals every day, every day. The thing that frustrates me about Scott not being here is that thinking about the anniversary that we were celebrating for my wife's cousin and her husband, you know, Scott and Carolyn didn't have that opportunity to celebrate 14 years together, being married. And it bothers me that Scott was not able to be here for Tyler's second birthday. It's not right. There's nothing right about it, but it's a part of the job. It doesn't make it any easier on any of us as we think about them and we miss them, but we had time with them, and I'm grateful for all the time that we did have. He was an amazing man. Miss him constantly. I wish the absolute best blessings and positives for Matt's family. Certainly for my family, it's been tragic, and my parents every day they struggle with it. But I know that at some point in time in the future, when I'm gone and I'm no longer here, I'm going to face my brother, and I'm going to be able to look him in the face, and I'm going to say, I love you, I've missed you, I'm grateful to be back with you. And for God's sakes, please tell me that you could play a Rush medley that lasts more than 2 minutes. Anyway, thank you for having us here and allowing me to speak. It means a lot to me. More than anything, it means the world to me that my godson, my nephew Tyler, is going to be coming up here as well. And one of the things that I took away from all of this was that no matter what I say up here, it doesn't mean anything, because what matters to me and what matters to everybody here is that Tyler is going to have the opportunity to come up and speak. And I'm unbelievably proud of him for this. 10 years ago, he was yo big, and here he's a young man, and I couldn't be more proud of him. Thank you for your time. Thank you, everybody, for being here. We really appreciate it.
Well, you heard Chris introducing it here. This is going to come up next is Tyler Desmond, Scott Desmond's 12-year-old son, to share with us.
Hello, my name is Tyler Desmond. I am Scott Desmond's son. It has been 10 years now since my dad passed away. There is not a day that goes by that I don't miss him. My mom and I talk about him a lot and the gifts that he has given me. I get told a lot how much I am like my dad, even sometimes the way I walk or talk. I like to tell jokes and make people laugh like he did. Sometimes I like to act weird and watch my friends crack up. My friends and I share my dad and I share the love of learning about history, especially war history. I love to play video games, and I know if my dad were here, we'd spend hours playing Wizard 101 or Xbox. He also would have loved playing Nerf with me, and it would have driven my mom crazy. I miss my dad, but I know the one thing he would want me to be is happy and not sad all the time. I only got to know him for the first year of my life, but my mom says that was the best year of his life. My dad is always with me and in my heart and watching over me. He helps me to be strong and stay positive. I'm so proud of my dad and proud to carry the gifts that I've received from him. He was also a really great dad. Thank you.
Thank you, Tyler. Well, next I'd like to introduce Fire Captain Rick Stratton from Contra Costa County Fire. Rick is one of the 3 fire captains that works at Fire Station 70.
I'm going to put this mic back down where Tyler had it. You did great, young man. Wow, I'm overwhelmed. I'd also like to invite 2 more individuals up here. Captain Sanderson and Captain Lindsay, also from Station 70. Like I said, I'm overwhelmed, and I am also proud of the fire department, the membership, and the allied agencies, of course the family, to be here today to share this with us. I am honored and humbled to be here today before you. We gather here to remember Matt and Scott and their sacrifice and duty at the Michelle Drive incident, now 10 years past. No one signs up for this job. To not go home. But we are willing to take great risk, and we are willing to place ourselves in danger to save lives. That's exactly what Matt and Scott did. I've heard the question asked, how can someone risk so much? In my opinion, we do it because of the love and support of family and friends. We do it with the trust in one another, and we do it with the knowledge we are given and the skills we are taught. We may all have different reasons for being firefighters. My reason was family. I had family in the fire service, became interested because of their work stories of camaraderie and bravery. I was enamored with their selflessness and sacrifice. The work was interesting, always varied, and of course challenging. While putting in the work, it was quite obvious you needed certain foundational qualities to be a successful professional firefighter. Traits like compassion, integrity, self-sacrifice, and courage. Courage. What is it? It isn't something tangible, but I assure you, when you see it, you will know what it is. The formal definition is the quality of mind or spirit that enables a person to face difficulty, danger, or pain without fear. While talking with my friend and coworker about courage, he had this to say. I thought it was perfect and asked him if I could read it to you today. The underlying element of courage is hard to define and nearly impossible to teach. How does one develop it? How do you find it? Look around you. It is all right here. It is in the men and women standing in uniform today. It is in the families and friends of those people. It is in the public, which offers its support for our cause and our loss. And it is most certainly in the departed, whose names are on the wall behind me. Courage lives in the hearts of those who see us off to work each tour and await our safe return. Our family's courage is seen in their patience to live with the unknown, the unexpected, and the uncertainty. The courage to do this is simply nothing less than heroic. To read the names on the wall is something we must all find the courage to do. We all need each other for this, and together we will continue to survive and grow, honoring the courage of those whose names are etched on this wall and in our memories. The workforce of today is ever-changing, but the fire service remains steeped in tradition over 200 years old. One such tradition is the sounding of the bell. In the past, as firefighters began their tour of duty, it was the bell that signaled the beginning of that day's shift. Through the day and night, it was the bell that summoned these brave souls to fight fires and to place their lives in jeopardy for the good of their fellow man. And when the fire was out and the alarm had come to an end, it was the bell that signaled to all the completion of the call. When a firefighter had died in the line of duty, paying the supreme sacrifice, it was a mournful toll of the bell that solemnly announced a comrade's passing. To symbolize devotion, these brave souls had for their duty a special signal of 3 rings, 3 times each, represented the end of our comrade's duty, and that they will be returning to quarters. Let us not forget those that have paid the price and remember them with the ringing of the bell. We utilize this tradition as a symbol that reflects honor and respect for those who have given so much and served so well, and so to those who have selflessly given for the good of their fellow man. Their task completed, their duties well done. To our comrade, the last alarm, you are going home, in memory of the fallen.
Heart. Michael Francis Braz. Matthew Charles Burton. James J. Capra. Scott Peter Desmond. John Ferrani. David Galing. James Robert Haynes. Michael A. Impostado. Leroy Jenkins. Kent Leverton. John William Nunes. Renee Canaloza. Richard L. Toller. David Eugene Vanny. John R. Welsh. Terry L. Warner.
We toll this final alarm.
Thank you, Captain Stratton. Incidentally, the other two individuals were up here were Captain Sanderson and Captain Lindsay, the other two fire captains that are on duty at all times, except for right now, at Station 70. They're all three were able to make it here to the significance of Matt and Scott responding from that station, as you all know. It was significant that they were here to read all those names on the 16 names on our wall. Well, we have an event now that is not on your program, but I'd like to introduce to you Paulo Berganza, who has a special presentation to introduce to you.
Good morning. Contra Costa County is a very culturally diverse community. Many cultures celebrate life and death in their respective ways. In Polynesia, the Maori culture from New Zealand dances the haka. Originally a war dance, calling on the spirit of ancestors for strength, the haka has evolved into a dance that promotes morale in a community. It is performed at weddings, graduations, and celebrations of all occasions. Kamate celebrates life, death, and birth of new lives. In memory of our loved ones, their lives, and in honor of their deaths, and in celebration of their new lives, your fire family performs Kamate. Kamate, kamate. Kora, kora. Translation, I might die. I might die. But I may live. I may live. The last line of the song. Aupane kaupane fititera. He. Translates into a step forward, into another life. The sun shines. The sun shines again. Rise. Today we honor our family members with the Contra Costa Fire Haka.
Well, we're nearing the end of our ceremony. This memorial rose garden to your left has roses in it that are planted in remembrance by actually many of the families that are sitting here in the front section. They have been planted there, and they are in remembrance of many of the firefighters whose names are on this wall here. There is a table over there too with some clippers on it. If you'd like to, you're welcome to use those to get some flowers, and you can place them on top of the wall or near the base of the wall or even on the bench here in front if you'd like to at any time. And of course today, if you have the time to do it today, you're welcome to. Further on down toward the EMS building, there's another memorial garden with a plaque on it that honors all the firefighters who perished on September 11th. You're welcome to. These gardens are open at any time. You don't have to come just now and see them. You're always welcome to come by here and visit. The flag has been ordered behind us here by Chief Carmen to half staff, and they'll remain at half staff in honor of the fallen firefighters today. So in closing, I wanted to share a few remarks with you. This has been a very special and meaningful 10-year remembrance ceremony. You have Engine 88 on one side of you, and which is Scott Desmond's home engine, and on the other side of you have Engine 70. That was the actual final unit that the crews went on and responded 10 years ago. We also have surrounding them, we have El Cerrito, Richmond, Rodeo Hercules, Pinole. This is many of the first alarm assignment in honor of what happened that day and those who supported them. So just as we remember about what went on here today, remember Chief Carmen started us off he gave us the definition of the hero and how Matt and Scott and the other 14 names on this wall are heroes. And thinking of self before others, and he shared with us that the fire department honors their memories and their sacrifice. And Captain Wells from the IAFF Local 1230 reminded us that what happened right after the event, and also on July 21st, and the improvements to help firefighters so that we could prevent anything like this from happening and make firefighters safer. He won't forget it, and he knows that many in the department won't forget it as well. Captain Lima, as you remember, all the way from Los Angeles County, representing this California professional firefighters, thousands of firefighters, reminded us of the dangers of the job for firefighters that they face. It's always present, even amongst all the folks that you see beside the engines, and those of you who are standing in the back, the firefighters are there. They face those challenges every single day and even right now. Chris Desmond shared with us that he still misses his brother. He remembers him as a brother that just gave all the time. Was always giving. He admires him for his courage. He's grateful for the many times that he had with him and the amazing brother that he was. Scott's son Tyler remembered. He let us know what makes him happy and proud about his dad, and his dad is always with him. And finally, Captain Stratton helped us understand that firefighters do what they do and are willing to do what they do to save lives and to put self first. They are part of our firefighter family, and then he reminded us that the reason that firefighters are able to do what they're able to do is because of the support of the many firefighting families and loved ones. And finally, he gave us the idea of what the importance is of courage. So we heard what really matters today. I think that was really significant. The firefighters and families and friends don't and won't let what happened on this date 10 years ago be forgotten. They won't let the others on this memorial wall, all 16 of them, they're not going to let those folks be forgotten. It's been said that being a firefighter is not what you do, it's who you are. Today we saw, and we always have been reminded about who firefighters are. Being stronger, serving better, never forgetting it's who they are, amongst other things. They provide a professional service, and they provide it to each and every one of us. I thank God that He allowed me to be able to know almost every single person and work with almost every single person on this wall, because they're right. These guys do have those, they all had that same internal drive to help others. So at this time, I'd like to invite Chaplain Robert Ryan to the podium for our benediction.
As we bring this 10th anniversary memorial service to a conclusion, I'd like to share with you a very personal and powerful piece of prose that was composed by Battalion Chief Bob Atlas's dad for the department at the time of Matt and Scott's deaths. Some of you may remember it, and for others of you, this will be the first time for you to hear it. It is entitled, and it reads as follows: A Band of Brothers. Our tight band shall not be diminished by our brothers' deaths. Our brotherhood remains an argosy, a living vein, a life source, its souls too numerous for count. Our daily depths are charged with such continuity, not with separation, because our brother's love, once given, remains with us forever. Let us pray. Father, author, and source of all life, you who are our beginning and our ending, we thank you once again for this sacred time of remembering, of celebrating, and giving thanks for the lives of Matt and Scott and of each of our firefighters who have made the ultimate sacrifice and given their lives in the line of duty. Their sacrifice and their love does remain with us forever. You made each one of them in your own image, and you held them all the days of their lives in your loving care. We thank you for all that they were and the legacy they have left, for their selfless, untiring duty, and the gifts that they have given with their very lives. Father, may our firefighters who have heard your words of welcome come blessed of my Father, and who have received your unfailing crown of eternal life, continue to rejoice in the company of the angels and the saints who have welcomed them home in peace. May your blessing now come upon all who have joined us for this memorial in honor of our brothers. And may each one of us be reassured of the life and the love that awaits us all, where there is no more suffering, no more crying, no more pain or grief, but only the fullness of life with you. And so may our Lord bless you and keep you. May he make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. May he lift up his countenance upon you and grant you all his peace, in your going out and in your coming in your lying down and in your rising up, in your labor and in your leisure, in your laughter and in your tears, until you come to stand before the Lord Jesus on that day in which death shall be no more. Amen.
Thank you. Well, this concludes our ceremony. We certainly would like to invite you to the water that's right behind you in the coolers, and also we have some refreshments in the breezeway directly behind us. I want to thank every one of you for coming, and thanks again for supporting what we're doing here in this memorial celebration and honoring these men.